Mm. Damn, I'm still fixing stuff right now, so... So forgive me for this delay as I fix everything that I can. Okay, welcome guys. To Asia Blitz Community Tournament Day 1. I'll be streaming all the matches here today. I was working on a lot of things today I tried to add some features to the stream, but unfortunately that wasn't finished. I haven't even have time to test the stream, so I had to come in today without actually testing what was going on today. So sorry guys. I had to do it like this. But I have added something just in time. I'll be able to show you guys how I'm gonna be able to point out things by playing replays, okay? Of the match, so don't worry, we got that. I will test that out later as we go, so hopefully we have that. This is the first round, and we'll be spectating PGMT versus E7, but their names would be, in this case, be called PGMT versus Nuggets for me. And this match would be a best of 5. With the maps being first up would be Normandy, second map would be Canal, and the third map would be Mine Ruins if tiebreaker is needed. So for those who haven't watched it before, Normandy, the first 2 maps will be played twice. After each time, the spawns will be swapped, and then if you start from north the first round, the second round you will be starting south, and then after that, after everybody plays the same, after everybody plays 1 spawn each, then the next map would be Canal, and then we'll do the same for that. And if then the score is 2-2, we will go down to Mine Ruins to decide who's the winner of the matchup. So yeah. I haven't streamed for quite a while, so my camera controls would be very, very rusty. Forgive me for that, if that was the case. So yeah. I also had mods installed, so that might sound a bit different from everybody's gameplay, so forgive me if that makes you feel a bit uncomfortable listening to the game. Let me know. I might actually try to revert the sounds at some point later. Okay, so we're about to start. First round, Normandy. As we see PGMT using double Krungs, double E5s, 1 Vigor's Light, double IS4, while the E7 side using double IS4, triple Krung, and double T22. My guess is that E7 would play more of control setup, while E7, while PGMT would try to look for early map control because it's only got one light tank. So my guess would be they would try to stop A control from E7 early on. Oh, we'll take a look. So, in this case, PGMT actually got going for C control, while E7 went for D control first. In this case, E7 is now have the cap control lead, while Cats will have to look for something else to try to get cap control. They're now slightly behind in caps, and you can see the Vickers from PGMT is now going to try to control A, but E7 already has a T22 waiting inside. So the points is now 500, as we can still see that both teams are very slow in trying to make something done. Ooh, the Crown Wagon took a bit of hit. At least now the hit points are very close. There's not much difference between two teams, but it would still favor E7 because they have lighter lineup. That means with their equal amount of hit points, they can do a lot more with that hit points because they got more mobility to utilize those hit points. So it's really up to Cats to try, PGMT is trying to make up that difference. Mainly just trying to ensure E7 can't get that cap advantage anymore. Then that will nullify the hit points advantage. But now, as we can still see, is pretty much a stalemate. And not really anybody is moving a muscle because they know that if they make a wrong move now, they're likely to throw away the game. That goes for E7, the same goes for the PGMT as well. So now trying to come up with solutions on how to deal with this cap point deficit. And by the looks of it, the Vickers is about to challenge 8 once again. But the T22 of E7 is already at spot. Not sure we can reset this time. He got spotted now. So in this case, the Vickers from PGM team actually have gotten the cap advantage in this case. So now PGMT has the cap advantage. They got 2 caps as opposed to 1, but the Crown Wagon and B for PGMT is bleeding quite a bit. So that might be the way. That might be the entrance for E7 to crack into it. But no, E7 is actually cracking open C. They're trying to take C over from PGMT's nose, under PGMT's nose, but a 7 ruler is being punished for it. And now Cats is gravitating towards counter pushing the IS-4 of E7. But also the T22s of E7 at the same time is trying to make a counter push onto Crown Wagons of PGMT, and it seems that the trade is now favoring PGMT a bit more because of how hurt E7 T22s are, and also how they got the cap advantage as well. So now IX Parabellum E7 is now trying to get A, but they won't be able to get A because of the Crown Wagon chasing. In this stage, PGMT is also making a push onto a plain area. They're making a push to try to kill the P22 from E7 first, and also try to make sure A doesn't get capped. But at the same time, E7 is capping C as well, so that makes it for E7 to deal with because now they have multiple fights going everywhere, and none of the fights are really actually winning decisively. And yeah, and most is a fair fight here, and then Cats already have the cap 1. So not Cats, PGMT. So the first round goes to PGMT, and now we will swap spawns, and see these two teams go fight again. So, I mean, we could try to recap what happened last round, because okay, let me try this. Let me try this. So if we can go back to the instant replays, we can tell that it's despite having the early cap advantage of e7, PGMT made quite a few attempts, tried to reclaim the caps, but the issue was by the time the second cap came in from PGMT, they weren't able to react to it properly. So they're trying to scramble double T22s. So let's go back to so at this stage, PGMT got the second cap, and what E7 did, they weren't able to respond immediately to the cap advantage that PGMT now hold. So the issue now is they weren't able to respond to that, and plus they had to try to make something happen. In this case, they tried to make a push for C, even though the Crown Wagon in the middle for PGMT is pretty hurt. Regardless of that, they try and make a push onto C, and that didn't work out pretty well. So that's basically where the game turned for PGMT, is where they cap A without getting punished, and to also be able to capitalize on this hold because they got the heavier lineup, and they have to make E7 to come to them. So yeah, good for PGMT to take the first round. That's certainly betting on the Vickers getting cap, but at the same time, when Vickers got the cap, it was really just about matter of whether they're able to hold on that cap advantage and stop E7 from pushing in aggressively or not. So first one from PGMT. So we're going back for a second round. This time spawn switched. E7 will be starting in south spawn, and PGMT will be starting in north spawn. The lineup for E7 this time, they dropped T22s in favor of TVPs, and then in this case, PGMT also added a T22 just to ensure they get map control early on. But with a pair of TVPs, I'm sure E7 is ready to punish a lot of things that's gonna come in from PGMT. It seems that PGMT this time gravitates a lot to D. They might want to try to do an early push this time because of how heavy their lineup is compared to E7. But they have to watch out for the TVPs, even though they can't spot them right now. They should have a good idea of where the TVPs are, just in case that they get farmed while being pushed. But also, E7 is not gonna sit there forever. They gotta get A this time, and it's really up to PGMT to make a move this time. It seems that the PGMT mobility is trying to move down and try to punish the A cap, but it seems that they're a bit too late. So all they gotta spot is gonna be an empty cap and perhaps just an E fab running, or they might even spot that. So bad luck to them. So PGMT looks like they're gravitating for a push. They're looking to step onto C cap, but the thing is the TVPs are already in the corner to shoot them, punish them anytime they want. So they are still holding their fire, but it's really a matter of time when they actually start getting punished, as we can see. So now E7 gets basically half of the map, more than half of the map, while PGMT is being forced to try to squish into this corner. The T22 is trying to make a run for it, but I highly doubt the use of that because of how different the lineups are. So PGMT by now sort of realized that they can't really punish for that anymore. They can't even step into the cap to begin with, so all they really have to do is just to slow down and think of another way of entry. Because right now, if they continue to do what they're doing right now, they would get punished like that. So beyond desperation is now getting farmed. The TVPs are reloading, so that's a good thing. But now the hit point advantage is firmly in the favor of E7, and they really have to try and make a run for it for the TVPs, or otherwise they have to find somewhere else to try to push. But in this case, they decide to try to go for an A cap, try to reclaim the cap advantage. In this case, nobody from E7 is contesting it. It's back and forth cap contesting, and in this case, E7 would get back. E7 would have to find another way back in to the game, because soon enough, PGMT would have the cap advantage once again. But it seems that PGMT is going to arrange for a push, but E7 is also ready, very ready in this case. So the TVPs are already here to punish. And there are already 2 tanks down, while E7 still got all their tanks alive. In this case, it's a very big brawl. It all goes down to who gets the better focus fire. In this case, it looks like E7 gets the better focus fire because it's already 3 tanks down for PGMT, and they're unable to respond at all. They're not even able to catch a T-22 that's in one shot. That might soon be different. They took back 2 tanks, but the hit point advantage is now firmly in the favor of E7. So now it's just a matter of time whether PGMT can hold on for longer or not. Nice. So now there's only 1 tank left, and his IS-4, it's not gonna have a good day. Let's put it like that. So in this case, the focus fire, well, the preparedness of E7 to punish PGMT setup was very crucial because they knew that PGMT had one tank capping A, so they would really try to punish that cap and just try to make the scene as messy as possible while they have a tank disadvantage. So you know, in this case, PGMT lost a bet, and now they have to go with a 1-1 scoreline. So going back, E7 already had this is not the round. This is a different round apparently. Hello. Okay, apparently it's not really working now. I have to manually find it if I can. So yeah, this was the game. So it's really a back and forth cap, and in this case, while PGMT's Vickers is capping, PGMT left their tanks behind in the CD side. So E7 was able to capitalize on that because technically PGMT is in the worst situation by leaving their tanks there, very vulnerable, while they have Vickers to cap. So E7 was basically ready to punish this, and as you can tell, E7 also has better focus fire in this case, as they're able to take down multiple tanks before PGMT is able to respond at all. So yeah, props to E7 being able to bring this back. It's all really down to whether it will catch a timing of enemies not being ready for your push, and in this case, PGMT was caught like pants down. It's literally a pants down win for PGMT at this stage. That they were caught in the bad positioning, and they also caught in a bad tank disadvantage as their Vickers was out of the fight for pretty much the decisive moments of the game. So by the time the Vickers came in, all he can really do is try to pick up the T-22 that they haven't finished yet, and that's really it. There's really not much you can do about the fight when your team is really getting caught like that. So E7, pretty good way of catching. Yeah, pretty good at catching him alive. So we're now going into Canal, the second map. So we're now into Canal. And as we can tell, PGMT this time is playing a lot heavy on CD. But D7 is still bringing the TVPs. This time they're there to punish PGMT's river push, as you can tell. Their Krang is already getting punished for trying to attempting to push the river, or even try to poke in there. So in this case, PGMT gets a cap advantage, and then their E7 seems to be AFK. And that actually, yeah, that is game crash. Yeah, that's what happens when you game crash. So now E7 gets the advantage. And they're trying to take more space from PGMT. And now the Vickers Light from PGMT is in a very, very sticky situation because you can't really make a run for it. And the only support we really had was the E5 behind him. And even him is not really in the best positioning for it. So the Vickers of course received all the hits and getting focused for his trouble of trying to make a run for it. So in this case, PGMT is now getting cornered, and they're now in a very bad positioning. It's really the worst spot you can really be in this situation, that you're taking focus fire from both sides. So really now, since C7 got 2 tank advantage, they got the cap advantage as well. The cap advantage is definitely around 2 tank. Now it's 3 tanks. So now PGMT is really just being there, just to, I would say, just hold on as long as they can, and try to pull off. Rethink our strategy again, because this game, I would say, is basically a done deal for now. The cap advantage is not in their favor, the hit point advantage is not in favor, the map control is not even in their favor as well, as you can see, that they're being heavily surrounded. It's just really a matter of time now, whether they'll get picked up one by one, or if E7 just gonna go in and under suffering very quickly. So it's only one E5 left. Seems that E7 wants to end the suffering. So good on them. So yeah, that game, I would say it's really just a matter of PGMT losing that E5 early on. That really hurts a lot. That causes the Vickers and the E5 behind them to really not have a good spot to be in, because now they're heavily surrounded, and they're really forced to, if they really want to fight there, they just gotta lose very quickly. So, you know, it's not really gonna be working out for them in the long run. So they tried to make a run for it. It didn't work, and that's really the end of the story there. They really don't have much choice right there when their tank uncontrollably just runs forward and the player crashed during the game. So unfortunate for PGMT. Hopefully they can pull it back on the other side, but they really have to rethink their strategy onto how they set up. Even if PGMT's EFEB didn't crash, it would still be a tough situation for PGMT because of how aggressive E7 is on D, and they really had the entire crossing lockdown, so the Crown Wagons aren't able to support at all. And if the PGMT E5 didn't crash, there might still a chance be PGMT, but it's gonna be pretty hard. Even though they have like the better control in that case. But regardless, it's still open for both teams to be fighting if the E5 did not crash. So anything could really happen, but we can only say what actually really happened. So in this case, the PGMT E5 crashed, and it got picked up by E7's quick tanks, and really from there on in that was basically the match. So in this case, PGMT seems to want to mix up things a bit. They bring double 50Bs. They might actually look like they want to go for a pretty good A setup play. If E7 if bringing 50Bs doesn't tell that you're going to go to an A corner, I don't know what tells you that you're going to be going A corner more in this. So they already got lit up, and they're already getting punished for it. In this case, E7 already took advantage of that information given to them, and already took a lot of spaces from D. And they already start farming the tank capping speed, so E7 doesn't even go actively going for any caps because they already got a pretty good reset onto Beyond Desperation onto B cap from net backwards, yeah. But also E7 also has the another reset in form of Ruler, so it's really hard for PGMT to get the cap, and they also have to pay for it in terms of hit points. So it really downs to whether the 50Bs of PGMT are able to make anything happen, because right now they're not showing their value at all, even if they are now in the corner. So E7 has totally denied the chances of the 50Bs to shine at all, because there's nothing for the 50Bs to do. At the same time, they also lock down the other side of the map that their IS-4s are being paid for in terms of hit points, and also no caps at all. So in this stage, PGMT's in cap disadvantage, hit point disadvantage, and at the same time map control disadvantage, because E7 has the high ground and also very aggressive positioning that they can easily spot the 50Bs for, and that's really the worst nightmare is in 50Bs, because being spotted means that you can't really do much, and especially when they're that aggressive, you really had the chance to dish out 2.4k damage, and that's it. You have to be out of the game and watch your teammate getting focused. So it's a really dire situation for PGMT, and it really it's really calls for a miracle play from PGMT to turn this around. And this stage, in this case, I think none of them really had any idea how to counter this, as the noose is being tied up more and more. Beyond Desperation is finally down, as the Vic is being very, very aggressive, picked him down. In the end, 50B also went down the dish and also got down. Now that's really your one-way ticket to getting killed, because the value of 50B is to stay up there and try to provide cover fire for your teammates. And now without cover fire, E7's just gonna go in and go ham. So now it's really just the timing of how fast it would take E7 to clear them up. It was a brilliant of E7 to be able to pick up that information that D's gonna be pretty empty, and they were literally able to capitalize before even PGMT were able to get B. So PGMT in the end didn't even have B cap to help them balance the cap points out. So props to E7, and they'll move on to the next round. But PGMT will now move on to the not lower bracket, but they will move on to meet other teams that have also lost the first round as well. So the end score for the game is 3-1. And the E7 guys now advance to the next round. So let's go back and take a look onto that round where everything was being read perfectly by E7. So the first takeaway when you see a lineup of PGMT, you really want to think about the possibility of an A push, because let's stop there. The prospect of bringing double 50Bs, it's basically a very alarming signal that you gotta play A, because 50Bs are really hard to be played on D. So if you're able to read this far, you instantly gotta be able to tell that the most the 50Bs gotta do is gonna be playing like 90% of the time. The 50Bs are gonna be playing for B, or they'll be playing for very aggressive on A. So then you can literally sub like how E7 did and deny basically all control of PGMT, and even deny them anything to farm at by the 50Bs. So as we can tell, the Vickers from E7 took advantage of that. They took a little mean map. The Vickers from E7 just went straight into D without hesitation and came all the way around before the PGMT even got B. So the reset was on, and there wasn't really anything that PGMT can do in this case, because they were red from the get-go. And this is just brilliant play from E7 that they were able to read this deep into the strat, and that also proves that they know a lot about the strats that usual Asia teams run in this case. It's really, but at the same time, having double 50Bs is really just broadcasting you're going for A, and there's really not much you can tell, not much you can do about it, other than trying to prepare for that side of the story as well. So it's just E7 being one step forward, and then PGMT is not being able to counter that one step forward movement. So it's not really just about skill or anything, it's just about the tactics just being on point just to counter whatever is happening. So props to E7 for reading this really well. So the first round is done for now. We have quite some time. We have like 10 minutes until the second round comes in. So during this time, we try to find out what our next matchups are. Okay, so it seems that they're still arranging the tables for the coming round. Um, so yeah, it's gonna take them quite a while just to do that because of that. Um, so please wait for a bit as they try to figure out what matchup they want to make for the coming ones. I'm very likely to be following one of the winners brackets ones because that's where the most exciting matches are gonna be there for. So it looks like they have the matchups now. Um, it would be okay. So round two would be with maps Alpenstadt, Oasis Palms, and New Bay. And I know we're already running late, but they're still trying to sort out the map issues, the issues with the rooms. So I'll give it a wait. Um, so I'll see how it goes. It'll actually take them quite a bit because now they just ne- only now they just finished generating brackets, um, the matchups, and they're now trying to arrange who's actually gonna be hosting the rooms. So there's that. I'll just see what matchup I can get in, and I'll probably just stream that one first because it's not really worth it just trying to wait around for a matchup that actually I want to stream, right? So let's just call this. Um, I think this one is the most promising. Um, is it him? I'll stream this one then. I guess, um, yeah, actually, I'll probably go stream tomorrow as well. I want to do some random battle stream because I want to try to play some random battles and also stream regularly as well. So tomorrow around the same time, I'll be streaming either ratings or random battles. Just try to play around my win rate and such. So if you're interested, please tune in. I know it's a shameless plug, but also at the same time, I would like to try to work on streaming a bit as well. I want to work on content creation in the future. Probably not now, but like in the future, probably I'll try to work on some content creation because I really want to help the community out in the end. Either by making videos that teach people how to play tournaments, or just general videos that make fun of players in random battles. I don't really care at this stage, so I just want to see if I can grow a channel up, whether it be my Twitch or my YouTube channel. So if you're watching from YouTube, great. But if you watch from Twitch, please follow and help spread the word that I'm streaming. Um, if you don't know me, I'm a professional player in Asia server. Um, I do what I please. Um, well, not really, but I'm still trying to improve as a player. By learning with people that um, you know, learn with people that I've never played with, and such and such and such. So, you know. Mm, okay, so we're now sort of ready. We're just waiting for both teams to ready up, and then we'll go into our first map, Alpenstat. The other two maps will be what was it? Um, the other two maps will be Oasis Palms and New Bay. So as usual, we'll be taking both sides. So each map we will play twice, and then we'll move on to the next map, and we'll play twice again. If that still haven't determined the winner, we'll go to a tiebreaker. In this case, it would be New Bay. I need to remove this thing for now. So I need to remove the old settings first. I don't know. I'll try to work out what I need to do for now. Obviously I have to change the scoreboard because the scoreboard is not the correct one anymore. Hopefully I got a system to help me manage that sooner or later. Because I'm also working on that as well, you know. And I'll not call out that name, so I'll call them GSM. So it seems that both teams are soon to be ready up. And the first map up in the stack will be ready to go in, to dive in and see who's going to take it. I think everybody's ready. There we go. So first round, second round, the sort of upper bracket, I guess, or the winners fights. First team to 3 rounds will advance to the next stage, and the first team to 3 wins in this round would go on to the next round to be the first team to advance to the next stage of the ABC tournament. So E7 is playing a very pretty sprout setup, but they're going mostly towards A. They have double 50. They have double TVPs sitting here, just trying to wait for whatever is happening. And then GSM in this case, they're actually they're also leaning more towards A, and they're able to punish Gamma a bit early on. But at the same time, Whiskey from GSM also got bled. 2 of the E5 also got bled at the same time, and GSM E7 is now going for a C cap. When GSM are not even ready for getting any caps just yet. So the Vickers from GSM are not going to be able to reset C, and he was about to go into C. If he was a bit earlier there, he would actually get caught there, and not even be able to get anything done. So now GSM is bled, quite bled in the middle, but they still have the E100s and E100 and Mouse, just buffing up their hit points. But at this stage, their hit point advantage will be gone in seconds' notice if they keep playing like this. So they try to tap B a bit, but they sort of gave up by now, because now their hit points are starting to become an issue for them if they want to keep contesting these caps. But looks like GSM is already pushing down. The crown is already getting destroyed, and there was no support for him. Strange way of pushing it, but if you really want to push, especially such an important spot in this map, this sector 1 area, you have to push him more than just one tank. And in this case, GSM did not have anybody to help them, and it's really 1 by 1 pushing in. The second crown falls for GSM, and now it's only 2 E5 versus 2. Why are you making a fair fight? Make it 4 times versus 2. There's no point making a 2 versus 2 fight, and then a 1 versus 2 fight separately. In this case, GSM has pretty much lost the game by just throwing their tanks 1 by 1 at the problem instead of all of them at once. So they're all stuck in the same spots, they're all getting shot by the same tanks, and nobody was able to escape the destiny of getting destroyed right there, right then. And their air pushers got shut down like that. So now it's just basically the Mouse and E100 just try to see what they can get done before they get destroyed. But can't help but think whether GSM actually working together as a team or not, because that was really a disoriented push. That going one by one was definitely not a good idea by any means. Whether it be you want to take control of that, or you want to actually push or do anything. If you want to be able to push that corner, you at least have to have 2 tanks or more, because the enemy has 2 tanks right there at the sector 1. So really, I feel like it's just GSM not prepared to do anything together, and that really let, you know, E7 took the upper hand in this case. So in this, you can tell that E7 sort of knew what they're going against, as they basically almost see everybody on the GSM side. So what happened was that they instantly make a push onto C with the TVPs and get the cap advantage very quick. And since the only mobility that GSM have is in the form of Vickers Light, he can't contest C at all. You see. There's 2 TVPs, there's 1 Vickers. There's no way you're gonna win that fight. So it's really smart. The only way for them is just to back off out of that fight. But at this stage, GSM really got bled a lot, so they weren't able to contest B, and the Crown Wagons are actually also not in a position to contest a sector 1 corner as well. So they did that like even the worst thing. The worst thing is to push 1 by 1 in crippled Crown Wagons. And that just really accelerated their own death, and just gifted E7 2 free tanks. And as you can see, E7 just happily took those 2 tanks for free, and GSM was basically couldn't answer anything at all. So the basic rule here, there's a few mistakes that GSM did here. Is first they bled quite a lot early on, and especially second that they try to push 1 by 1 into basically a blender that just basically kills everybody, you know. Especially with crippled Crown Wagons as well. So that's like 3 mistakes altogether that basically made a landslide victory for E7. So props to E7 to be able to take advantage of that. So now we're gonna go back to the second game, still up on stat, but this time switch sides, and we can see GSM still taking a similar lineup to last round. The same goes for E7, as they look to use a similar momentum lineup. So this time again, E7 is sort of going for a approach. Same like what GSM did. But this time let us see what they do different to GSM. Because last time GSM, okay, seems like the Vickers Light already took a hit. But that gathered them some information that GSM did not invest anything into deep sector 1 corner. So which means they're able to cap A relatively safe, and if these E5s poke, they would receive some hits from the TVPs if they want to attempt to reset, and even from the E5s in front. But E7 gets the A cap pretty much safe, and they're also able to get the information that the Vickers was able to get was stuck in there. So now they know that they might be able to take advantage of that. As you can see, the TVPs are slowly moving in, trying to make something happen. GSM in this case, they're trying to push B. They're trying to take a B control as opposed to E7's B A control. And ES7 wasn't able to stop them to take that B control at all. So the cap advantage would go on to E7 in this case, but GSM isn't that far behind right now. But Gamma's getting pushed on. And it's I really wonder whether E7 is prepared to help their teammates, because it's really in this, not the most comfortable situation for the Iceful, getting pushed by two super heavies. So the super heavies of GSM getting pushed back as they start to bleed a bit more. At the same time, the Vicus Light of GSM is still behind. Maybe the next thing is they gotta try contest C, which E7 is totally prepared for already, regardless GSM wants it or not. So E7 is already one step forward into what is possibly gonna happen in this case, and GSM, I wouldn't say they're very far behind, but in terms of thoughts of what they're doing, it certainly feels like they're slightly behind on their movement, and E7 is already getting C cap. The Vicus clearly just only back off because they don't really know where the TVPs are, as the TVPs already got unspotted for quite a while. They now see them, but it's really too late that E7 already got C cap. So now Z-Pack might actually could try to go contest C again, but it's really there's only so much that he can do because it's solo Vicus. So let's follow him and see what he's gonna try to do. Elemental in the U100 is already down. It seems like there's a fight down there. While we're aware of, and again, it's just basically GSM tanks slowly pushing into their own demise. There really isn't much teamwork involved here, especially being locked down this badly. I feel like they're trying. I feel like they're pretty indecisive in terms of determining what they want to do. So in this case, there's only one tank pushing, and there's really nobody following up the action until now. And even now, they aren't really fully together onto doing the same thing. So it's a bit disoriented within the GSM camp as to what they really want to do. And the same thing also happens to a lot of teams, even if the players are very good in terms of skill. And they killed the mouse inside town, and E7 takes the second round, or the second round win. So next map we'll be going to Oasis Palms, if I remember correctly, and this hopefully should be a slightly different. Let's see if GSM are able to come back from their indecisiveness on how to play, because from judging from their gameplay just then, they're really indecisive of what they really wanted to do. And it's really fatal, especially in the game where like it's really fatal. Like there's really no excuses on. So as you can tell, the super heavies in the town for GSM really wanted to try to do something, but there isn't really much for them to do because, as you can tell, Gamma, it's really in a pretty safe position. They can push onto him, but it really means that both of the super heavies have to come in. Otherwise, they would have to bleed a lot. Just try to trade blows with the campers of E7. And in this case, the TVP are pretty stationary at A side. They're there to be the farmer camp. So even though none of the TVPs are being spotted right now, the Vicus from GSM didn't really want to do too much, because if you make one step wrong at C side, it's really that E7 is gonna come back and bite him, and then now GSM is gonna go work without mobility, and that's really just gonna be one way ticket back to garage. So What GSM did was alright, but needed to do it more decisively, not just having one tank pushing alone, and everybody else just follows up like 20 seconds later. So you have to push together as a team. So you gotta know what your team's gonna be doing. In this case, you might want to have somebody give the E7, E5, yes, but you also have somebody want to take the map control, and you also want to have somebody to cap. But in this case, they put a lot of effort into capping this A cap, but at the same time, nobody is actually going to take map control, and there's only one tank trying to kill an E5. What's worse is that their E100s aren't coordinating their hip series aren't coordinated push. So if you want to take a look at the mouse now, it's really crippled. So this is the last thing you want to see, is that your team is already unable to battle, and then your team just want to push in a straight line, and you know there's really not much you can do if your team is not doing the correct things together. Like so yeah. In this case, we want to see GSM going back to a more coordinated setup, because you know it's really sad to see a team being that well, I would say disoriented, but like it's just not coordinated. You definitely say that you definitely it's definitely not coordinated at all in this case. So we're back in. Due to some reasons, I'm only able to see E7's perspective, but we'll work it out as we go. We'll work it out. So E7's taking very heavy control in both desert. They're being very spread out, and we can instantly tell GSM is being very aggressive onto. They're stacking really heavy onto A side, so C side is basically free for E7 to take. In this case, they left nothing onto desert to spot the cap. They don't, so GSM does not really know how many tanks or E7 is at C side, but they can really tell that there's two is capping. But at the same time, GSM is also making multiple capping A. In this case, E7 would have the cap advantage over GSM. So next up is really about how GSM will want to tackle this from their perspective. As we can't tell where the tanks are, we can only assume that they're really taking a defensive setup of right there. But having mediums being close to front line like this 140 and E5 here, it's really just asking for trouble. So it's really just about whether they're able to keep the information intact while trying to suss out what E7 has in setup. Because E7 right now can just sit back and not do anything because they have the cap leads and they also have the map control. So, Z-Pack, the Vickers is getting punished a lot, now down to 1.1k. Skipper is also here. He's tracked for a bit, but as you can tell already, E7 haven't bled much at all, but GSM has already bled quite a bit from all those small engagements. Well, both teams now bled a bit. Let's say it like that. But Z-Pack is taking more and more hits. Is he gonna go down anytime soon? If he goes down, that is basically a big advantage for E7 because that means GSM no longer has a pair of eyes on one side of the map. But good for now, he's now being hidden in the deep side of A. So all E7 has to do now is just sit back and prepare for GSM's reaction. So what GS can really do right now is they can contest B. They could actually try to contest their own spawn side of and try to get Nuggies out. Because Nuggies is really the only contact the closest to their town side, and the only tank that's really isolated, even though he has cover fire. So he's sort of alone, but he's sort of not alone at the same time. So it's really down to how GSM want to take advantage of this, if they are able to gather information in the first place. And this is really smart from ESET. Well, I wouldn't say it's really smart, but is really a good thing to do that by putting the mediums back. You're not making them vulnerable to an instant push. GSM now taking B, and also try to push E7 spawn. But they're already getting punished for it. They're getting bled a lot for it. Whiskey is about to go down very soon. Where Alec is also going to go down in Kranwagen. But in this trade, it seems that GSM would get the count lead back in control. But the thing is, they are now having the bad positioning in the two E5s. Those two E5s are in very bad spots, and their Vicks may actually die as well. Skipper is gone down. Vic has gone down as well. 3 tanks down versus 1 tank down. It's definitely in E7's favor. E7 should take this round, not easily, but it's really about wrapping up whatever's remaining. 140 from GSM is going to go down as well. There it goes. And the E7 and the GSM E5s is just going to be down there. It's going to be down there, slowly bled down and slowly ticking down. So this game's really likely to go to E7's favor as well. So E7's going to be the first team. There's going to be like one of the teams here that advanced to this third round of being 2-0 up. And they 3-0 GSM. So in the end, E7 win 3-0. So it was sort of a decisive victory from E7, as they're able to read most of the stuff that's happening in the game, maybe even before the game has happened. So good on them, able to take advantage of GSM's sort of, I wouldn't say disoriented, but like not fully coordinated pushes. It was a good attempt from GSM trying to take B cap control. But at the same time, it's also how they pushed into, like, after they finished the first tanks of E7, they got really nothing to respond to when their Vickers got killed. The 140 got bled down. Like, a lot of things that they weren't able to respond to, and that really sealed the fate for them. So I would say E7 is still quite in front in terms of how the games are going. But at the same time, there's also slight improvement from GSM, how they responded to E7's threat from both sides. You know, this time, at least this time, they weren't pushing one by one, and there, you can at least see some sort of like, at least you can see some sort of a coordinated attempt to push to the same target. But after that first push, it's a bit more of a mess, but it's definitely an improvement nonetheless. So good luck to GSM. Because if you guys are able to improve that that sort of push, like countering enemies holding, then you would have a way better chance of sort of you know, at least make a bit bigger dent onto the enemy setup. But in this case, it was well done from both teams. Even though GSM lost 3-0, they at least have won the first round to come this far. So, congrats to them that they were able to do were able to take the win from the first round. And good luck to E7 for their third round games. And the next games will be on Sunday. So Sunday will be our third round, and possibly even. So this Sunday we were able to find out who is going to be the first teams that get advanced to the next stage. So yeah. I would probably try to finish whatever I was doing for the third round, because I really want to get it going. That's actually going to be very, very interesting. If I actually even get it going. So on Sunday, this coming Sunday, there'll be round 3 and round 4. So round 3 and round 4, we will be seeing possibly teams that can advance to the next stage. So there'll be in total of there's 16 teams. There's going to be a total of 8 teams that will advance to the next stage. So that will be all determined on Sunday and next Thursday's first round. So that will all determine which teams would advance to the next stage. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys Sunday. Actually, I'll also stream tomorrow as well. But I'll be streaming from my mobile, from my iPad tomorrow. So I'll be streaming tomorrow, probably with ratings around and bows. So if you guys want to watch me be very salty about games and be bad as well, come hop in. I'll be streaming tomorrow. And also, I'll be back on Sunday for another set of ABC tournaments. So until then, see you guys next time. And